The PlayStation Spring Sale just dropped, and I went through everything and pulled out over 50 best deals sorted from lowest price to highest, starting with games under $5. And the first one we got is called The Last Campfire. It is 90% off for just $1.50. You probably never heard of it, but judging from the looks and the player reviews, it is a really great one. It is a short puzzle adventure game with a gorgeous art style and a really calming vibe to it. Definitely worth grabbing for that price. Then we got this gorgeous game called Planet of Lana, 80% off for just $4. It is a cinematic side-scrolling puzzle platformer where you play as a girl trying to rescue her sister across an alien world. You have this little creature companion that you work with to solve puzzles, and the whole thing looks absolutely stunning, like a moving painting. Then we got Unravel 2, which is 78% off for $4.39. You probably already know this one. It's a popular couple's choice co-op where you got these two yarn characters tied together trying to escape this mysterious island. Truly one of the best couch co-op games ever made. Then we got The Division 2, 85% off for $4.49. For under $5, the amount of game you are getting here is just wild. Then we got Burnout Paradise Remastered, 75% off for $5. This brings up some pretty nice memories. It's an absolute classic arcade racer and one of the best open world racing games ever made. Then we have Injustice 2, 75% off for $5. A really cool, not the best fighting game of the last decade from the Mortal Kombat guys. It's got great story mode, massive DC roster, deep gear system that's totally worth grabbing. Then we got this game called Call of Cthulhu, 75% off for $5. This one is pretty slept on. It is a narrative detective RPG where you are investigating a mysterious death on a deeply unsettling island based on the classic Lovecraft story. Then we got Wolfenstein: The New Order, 75% off for $5. If you know this game, you already know it is an absolute banger. Still one of the better single-player shooters ever made. With tight gunplay, great story. Then we got Death's Door, 75% off for $5. This one is also super slept on, and I really think more people need to play it. It's an adventure action game where you are a little crow working as a soul reaper, and things get complicated fast. This one's got really tight combat, clever puzzles, and a world full of personality and charm. One of the best indie games of the last few years. Then we got Shadow of War, 90% off for $5. A full AAA open world game set in Middle-earth for $5. And guys, the Nemesis system alone, where every orc has their own personality and history with you, is worth the price. And then we got another blast from the past, Titanfall 2 Ultimate Edition, 83% off for $5 and a few cents. This one is usually on sale, but it's still worth talking about for such a low price, under $10. Then we got this game called Fatal Frame Maiden of Blackwater, 85% off for $5.82. This one is a Japanese horror game where your only weapon against ghosts is a camera. You literally have to photograph them to defeat them, which sounds strange, but creates this incredibly tense gameplay where you have to let enemies get close to deal the most damage. In the same vein, we got another horror game called Blair Witch, 80% off for $6. This one is based on the Blair Witch film, and it is a first-person psychological horror game set in the Black Hills Forest. You have a dog companion named Bullet, which is honestly one of the best parts of the whole experience. Then we got Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition, 80% off for $6. This game needs a revival, guys, but till then, try this out. You are an undercover cop infiltrating the Hong Kong triads, and the hand-to-hand combat in this game is some of the best in any open world game ever made. Then we got Dishonored 2, 80% off for $6. If you know Dishonored, you already know this is a fantastic deal. You are a supernatural assassin with insane powers in a beautifully crafted steampunk world, and you can approach every mission in completely different ways. Then we got Back 4 Blood at 90% off for $6. This is basically the spiritual successor to Left 4 Dead from the same original developers, and it's great if you just want to have a chill time. Then we got Borderlands 3, 90% off for $6. You already know Borderlands. It's got billions of guns, crazy characters, insane co-op shooter mayhem, all for this minor price. Then we have Mass Effect Legendary Edition, 90% off for $6 as well. This one offers 3 of the greatest RPGs ever made remastered in one package for just $6. Then we got another awesome collection, the Batman Arkham Collection, 90% off for $6. It offers Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight all in one package for just $6. Then we got Life is Strange 2 Complete Season, 80% off for $6.38. This one follows two brothers on the run across America, and it is honestly one of the most emotionally powerful stories in the whole series. Now, if you are a racing fan, you got some great options here as well. Firstly, we got Need for Speed Heat Deluxe Edition, 90% off for $7. Day racing for money, night racing for rep, it's deep car customization, great arcade feel. One of the better NFS games in a long time, and the deluxe edition includes extra content on top. Or you can go for Need for Speed Unbound, which is also 90% off for $7. This is the most recent NFS game, and it has this really cool stylized art direction where characters have animated graffiti effects around them. Then we got Gotham Knights, 90% off for $7. Not the best game, it's got a mixed reception when it launched, but at $7 it is a completely different conversation. You are playing as the Batman family, Nightwing, Batgirl, Red Hood, Robin, taking over Gotham after Batman's death. The co-op is fun, and for $7 it is worth experiencing. Then we got Saints Row, 75% off for $7.49. The reboot got a tough reception from longtime fans, but at $7.50 it is a decent open world sandbox to mess around in if you just want something fun. Then we got Prey Digital Deluxe Edition, 80% off for $8. This one is massively underrated. You are on a space station that has been overrun by aliens, and the way you can approach every situation using different powers and abilities is incredibly creative. Then we got The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, 80% off for $8. One of the greatest RPGs ever made. If you have not played The Witcher 3 yet, this price is basically begging you to change that. Then we got Kingdom Come Deliverance Royal Edition, 80% off for $8. This is a medieval RPG set in 15th century Bohemia that is as realistic as it gets. There's no magic, no fantasy, just a blacksmith's son trying to survive in a brutal historical world. The Royal Edition includes all the Delk, and the amount of content you are getting for $8 is just crazy. Then we got It Takes Two, 80% off for $8. This game won Game of the Year, and honestly, it deserved it. It is a co-op only platformer where two players have to work together through constantly changing gameplay mechanics, and it is one of the most creative and fun co-op experiences ever made. Then we got Still Wakes the Deep, 75% off for $8.74. This is a first-person horror game which really got a lot of attention when it came out, and rightly so. It's set on a North Sea oil rig in the 1970s, and the atmosphere is just suffocating. You are a worker trying to survive after something goes terribly wrong on the rig. The setting alone makes it stand out, and the story is genuinely gripping. Then we got Subnautica, 67% off for $9.89. This game is absolutely incredible, and if you have never played it, you are in for something special. Then we got Riders Republic, 75% off for $10. This is Ubisoft's extreme sports game with skiing, snowboarding, mountain biking, wingsuit flying, all in one massive open world. The multiplayer races with dozens of players at once are genuinely chaotic and fun. The BioShock collection is also on a massive 80% off for $10. You're getting all three of the best story-driven shooters ever made in one package. Next is A Plague Tale Innocence, 75% off for $10. This game is stunning. You are a sister protecting her younger brother through plague-ravaged 14th century France, and the story is genuinely emotional and gripping. The rat swarm mechanic is creative and terrifying, and the whole experience is really cinematic. $10 for this is a great deal. Next is The Walking Dead Destinies, 80% off for $10. This one lets you relive the early seasons of the TV show, but with choices that can change how things play out. If you are a big fan of the show and want to see alternate versions of key moments, $10 for that experience is worth it. Now we are getting into the under 15 range, and kicking things off we got the Dead Space remake, 85% off for $10.49. This remake is absolutely phenomenal, and one of the best options if you love horror games. Then we got Soul Hackers 2, 80% off for $12. This one is from Atlas, the same studio behind Persona, and it is a turn-based RPG set in a near-future cyberpunk world where two artificial beings are trying to prevent the apocalypse. If you are into JRPGs and you want something with a cooler, darker aesthetic than Persona, this one is worth checking out. Then we got Lost Judgment, 80% off for $12. This is the sequel to Judgment, and it is set in the same world as the Like a Dragon series. You are a detective taking on a really gripping legal thriller story with some of the best side content in any game. Then we got the Mafia trilogy, 80% off for $12. You're getting 3 full Mafia games in one package. Mafia 1 Definitive Edition is a stunning remake of a classic, Mafia 2 is one of the best crime stories in gaming, and Mafia 3 rounds it all out. Then we got High on Life, 65% off for $14. This is a super hilarious alien shooter from Justin Roiland, the co-creator of Rick and Morty. In this, your guns are alive and they talk to you constantly, and it is genuinely funny throughout. Then we got Far Cry 6, 75% off for $15. The latest mainline Far Cry game set on a fictional Caribbean island under a brutal dictator played by Giancarlo Esposito. The world is gorgeous, there is a huge amount of content, and Giancarlo absolutely kills it in his role. Next is Dying Light 2 Stay Human, 75% off for $15. Massive open world zombie parkour game with a really satisfying movement system and super fun action. For the first game in under $20, we got Nier Automata Game of the Year Edition, 60% off for $16. This game is genuinely unlike anything else out there. Then we got Sonic Superstars, 70% off for $18. This is a return to classic 2D Sonic with 4-player co-op and new abilities for each character. If you grew up with the old Mega Drive Sonic games, this one is a really fun throwback, and at $18 with the multiplayer included, it is a great pick for families. Next is Tiny Tina's Wonderlands Chaotic Great Edition, 80% off for $18. This is the Borderlands spin-off set in a fantasy world narrated by Tiny Tina, and it is an absolute blast. Then we got Atomfall, 70% off also for $18. It's an RPG adventure set in an alternate history 1960s Britain following a nuclear disaster, and it has this really eerie English countryside atmosphere that is completely unique. And then we got this classic LA Noir, 50% off for $20. This is a classic that a lot of people still have not played. You are a detective in 1940s Los Angeles, and the facial animation technology used to capture witness interviews was genuinely revolutionary when it came out. Now, rest of the games will be $20 or more, and that starts from Dragon Age The Veilguard, 65% off for $24.49. The newest Dragon Age game with a completely revamped action combat system, a new cast of companions, and a big fantasy world to explore. Totally worth it. Then we got Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, 50% off for $25. This is the definitive version of one of the most brutal and satisfying action games ever made. Then we got Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, 50% off for $25. This is one of the most visually stunning games ever made, and the way it portrays psychosis through sound and visuals is genuinely unlike anything else. Definitely should try. Then we got Call of Duty Black Ops 6 Cross-Gen Bundle, 60% off for $28. You already know Call of Duty. Black Ops 6 brought back the classic boots on the ground movement, and the campaign is actually one of the better ones the series has had in years. Then we got Doom, the Dark Ages Premium Edition, 67% off for $33. It's the newest Doom game, taking the series back to a medieval setting with a shield and a whole new arsenal of brutal weapons. And then we got Silent Hill, 50% off for $35. This is the newest entry in the Silent Hill series, set in 1960s Japan, and it is a genuinely terrifying and beautifully disturbing horror game. The setting of rural Japan, wrapped in Silent Hill's signature nightmare imagery, is something really special. If you are a horror fan, this is the big one on this list, and $35 for it is a great price to jump in.